Hello, YouTube. Welcome to the FPL Pubcast, where every Wednesday at 6 p.m. we are here to preview the upcoming game week. This week, game week 27. Joining me are my usual buddies on the channel. First of all, I was saying to you, it's been a while. It feels like ages since we streamed together. Nick Trig, how you doing, mate? It's only been 2 weeks.
I know it does seem a lot longer, especially now I'm not doing the lock-in as well. So it's like been a 2-week break since I've been on, isn't it?
Do you think it's because there's been no football? That's why it feels longer as well.
Yeah, but there has been quite a bit of football, though, hasn't there? FA Cup and Champions League.
Yeah, but not
enjoyable. Been able to watch the football without having to worry about FPL. It's been absolutely fantastic.
I shouldn't say on an FPL stream, but I've loved the last week not having my emotions going up and down through things I have no control. And also joining me, of course, the lovely Darius, FPL D-Unit. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Now, on that up and down thing, the Arsenal game versus Wolves is tonight, or is that tomorrow night?
It is tonight at 8. Yes, it is.
So the emotions will be back up and down, Gary, because obviously the triple captain for you and Trig is going to be active, and you're going to be sitting there pretty stressed, I reckon.
I know. I don't know if you sort of said. I said earlier in our group chat, if he ends up not being in the squad, me and Trig are going to rage quit and leave you by yourself, Darius.
I'm fairly relaxed about it tonight. It was more of a stress of a thought of him being sent off. It was the problem last game, and Brentford were tough, and I didn't own Thiago, and he was looking like scoring every 5 minutes. So it'll be a lot more relaxing tonight, I think. There will be a lot less to actually worry about. If he gets 4 or 5 points, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's only the triple captainship. So
what happens if he's on the bench?
Quite relaxed. Yeah, that won't be good. That'll be stressful.
He won't be on the bench, will he?
I'm just joking. I'm just because obviously I haven't got him triple captain. I think Rice 100% plays regardless. But I was sitting there because I was so close to calling he's going to get sent off versus Brentford, and he went so close to getting sent off. So I was
he did. Did you say? I don't know. I think it was I'm sure it wasn't the official FPL account. It's one that was set up to look like it. Like 8 days ago, text Gabriel not seen on bus or whatever. And I was like, oh my God. And then it was a fake thing to wind people up. And I was like, not nice. Not nice. But
that was Saliba, I think, wasn't it? Not on the bus.
Well, he didn't play, did he? I think he's probably going to play tonight. Am I wrong? It wasn't a serious one, was it?
I would have been a bit worried about Timber, but White's injured now, isn't he? And Calafiori. So it's hard to imagine Timber not starting.
I think Andy Martin bought Saliba in because he was on the last podcast. I'm fairly sure that was his transfer in, so he was a bit unlucky there. But so in this one, we are going to have a look at how Trig got on so far last game week, because me and Darius looked at our teams on Saturday night. Then we're going to have a look at some talking points, like whether or not Palmer's worth getting in for this game week, best Liverpool assets, stuff like that. Then we're going to look at FPL Nightmare has told me he is definitely going to hit the wild card either in 27 or 28. So we're going to discuss A, should he be doing it? And is it a good idea if you're, trying to catch up on rank? And B, which one should he do? Which is the best one? And then we'll preview the game week. We'll do the Pubcast differentials and look at our planned moves and captaincy for game week 27. So let's just say hello to people in the chat. Hi to Erkan. Hi to Hippie. Colm. Hello, mate. Hi, Rob Taff. Hi, Major. Claire. Andrew. Hi, John. FPL Spar. I'm 1974 saying, who's playing? Yep, wait. So it's FPL Nightmare. Allegedly, I'm not going to say he's 100% playing because he's not my team. Hi to Andrew, Clapton, Xpre Dar 2RZX, and I think that's everyone, and Calzino. Okay, all right. So we'll get into it. As I say, we're just going to look at Trig's team and how he's gotten so far, because me and Darius looked at how he got on. Oh yeah, please do like and help get the stream out there, and subscribe if you're new around here. Because me and Darius looked at our teams on Saturday and nothing has changed since then. So Trig, so far, he, like myself, played the triple captain. He's on 46 points. I'm assuming that's a red arrow to 91k. Sanchez 1, Gabriel triple captain 3, obviously playing Wolves tonight, as is Timber, who's on 2, Tarkowski 1, Lacroix 1, Elliot Anderson 5, Sarr 2, Bruno Fernandes 2, Palmer, your lovely Palmer 12, Rice for Haaland, now yellow flagged 5. Yeah, talk us through it, Trig. What did you do, mate? And happy or Virgil? That's why you're not happy, isn't it?
Yeah, basically not because of who I've got, rather who I took out. But it was actually 2 game weeks ago, I think. I think it was the week before we played Man City, I took out Virgil van Dijk. And it seemed logical at the time because I wanted to get Sarr in rather than a very cheap midfielder. Someone like Garner it would have been if I hadn't got Sarr. So I had to sacrifice Virgil, who'd done nothing all season, really. I don't think he'd had a single double-figure haul. And as soon as I take him out, of course, he gets 16 points. So that was annoying. But overall, it's not terrible. I think I started the game week at 81k. I'm expecting it to go green after tonight. But hopefully it will do. But yeah, Palmer, he's the main talking point, isn't he? I guess we'll be talking about him later on.
We'll get on to him, yeah.
Yeah, and I benched Thiago, which was like, I feel very fortunate there, to be honest. he probably should have had at least 2 goals, I think. He was playing in Brentford was so good. Arsenal was so poor, really, weren't they? I've never seen a team attack Arsenal quite like Brentford did. They didn't like it up them, did they? Didn't like their own tactics back in their face.
Did you hear the fans calling out the fact that, Brentford were doing to Arsenal what Arsenal do to literally every other team? And I thought, fancy that. To be fair, I actually think that the way that Arsenal play the game, and I don't know what you think as well, Trig, in terms of the way Brentford did it as well, but there's literally a foul happening every time there's a set piece. How the ref just doesn't blow it is staggering. Like the blokes rugby tackling people to the floor on literally every set piece, and then they didn't like it when it got done to them. I thought it was brilliant to watch.
Those long throw-ins, they couldn't cope with those, could they?
Am I right, Darius, that I've seen you had a video which got tons of views. I'm not sure if it was this week or last week, like 10,000 odd views. Were you advocated for bringing in Virgil van Dijk, who you've been chastising Trig for having for like months now?
Oh, see, everyone knows that there's certain players I haven't liked this season, and obviously some of them have had their moments during the season that have been pretty good. And it's a bit like Anderson. Like Trig thankfully benched him this week, so he didn't get stung by him this week. But Virgil van Dijk's definitely been in that category. He was cost 5.9 million, and prior to that 17-pointer, as Trig said, he's done pretty much not much to justify the price point. Like he's had no double-figure haul. But if you look at Liverpool's fixtures, and I know we're going to look at the fixtures a little bit later on, but arguably from now up until when most people are going to wildcard in game week 32, the fixtures for Liverpool look like they might breed clean sheets. So if they're going to breed clean sheets and he's going to get the DC, that's when I like a player. But if there's no chance of like the clean sheet, that's why I haven't liked him. But I think from what I've seen of Liverpool sadly, the last 3 to 4 weeks, I've got more confidence in them in terms of keeping a clean sheet.
He's top of FPL review between now and 32 for defenders.
I don't see him getting many DEFCONs against these opponents, but he hasn't been getting that many DEFCONs. That was the first time in a while, I think, against the tough Sunderland side. So I can't see him keeping that many in the next few weeks. But there's always a chance of a goal for him, isn't there? They do look better. Yeah. I think they're recovering from the Jota thing now, and they're starting to look a lot better, aren't they? They're all perked up. Like Virgil van Dijk's body kind of language and that is better than it was. Like he looked like he was struggling, didn't he, for a while? Same with Salah, but they're both looking a bit more interested now.
Right, let's move on to our talking points because we're going to cover a lot of this here. It's all right. So we've got the fixtures on the right there. I've just written down some here that have occurred to me over the week. So first one, I'll ask both your opinion on this. Haaland obviously is yellow flagged. Assuming that he's out, will you sell him? And even if he isn't out, do you think there's any justification for getting rid of him? Maybe so you could bring in a Palmer or a Salah. Trig, what do you reckon, mate?
Well, when you look at my team later, you can see that I can actually get Salah in without needing to get rid of Haaland. But if he wasn't playing this week, I probably wouldn't sell him this week, but I'd seriously think about it. I mean, they've got Leeds next, haven't they? So it would depend on the kind of injury, I guess. But if it is just this 1 week, I probably wouldn't, because there's no one I really want this week. I mean, the only one I'd want is João Pedro, and then he's got tough fixtures. So I'd wait until the following week, I think, because I'd have 4 free transfers by then. And have more time to think about it. Yeah, I mean, he's good as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if it looked like he was going to be out for multiple weeks, I'd just go Haaland to Ekatike, I think.
So I think because he's got Leeds, Nottingham Forest, West. I guess that is a nice free fixtures, isn't it? Maybe you would keep him. What do you reckon, Darius?
I don't know. I sat there and looked when I was doing that video today, because I know that Nightmare's obviously thinking about wildcarding, and his whole premise is on taking out Haaland in order to do some funky stuff in order to chase rank. And I looked at it today, and I looked at the Salah draft I came out with. I was like, this is a pretty damn good, sexy draft. Not going to lie. But it's got to be on the fact that Liverpool actually and Salah do what you think they're going to do. Because if they don't do what you think they're going to do, you're going to get absolutely burned out the other side. Because I think that Haaland, I think on Friday, Pep will get asked, how's Haaland? And you go, he's ready. He'll say something like that. He's ready. He's fine. He's fit. He will give a 2-word response. And then Haaland will come out against Newcastle and probably score a hat-trick, because Newcastle will be back off Europe. They'll be tired. They're away from home. All the metrics where Newcastle have been bad this season are all in play for this Man City game. And that would concern me, not having Haaland this week.
Yeah. I'm umming and ahhing. I think if he's out, I may pull the trigger. But it's funny, actually, because Nightmare's been saying that Haaland, he reckoned he was a better captain than Palmer. He was saying that to you, weren't
exactly.
he?
He's been saying it for weeks. He reckons he's going to destroy Newcastle.
Well, it's because of Newcastle. They're away from home, and they're just after the Champions League. They play tonight in the Champions League. So their record this season post the Champions League, they conceded 3 goals away to West Ham. They conceded 3 goals away to Brentford. Like, if they're conceding 3 goals away to those teams, imagine what they'll do when they go to Man City on the back of Europe.
It looks like they're having a fairly easy time of it tonight, though, rather than a tough Champions League game. I mean, they might be able to take people off after 45 minutes the way it's going. So I'll give them a bit of confidence as well, a nice, easy win. So, yeah, I mean, I'm still torn about what I'm doing for captaincy, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, let's move on to the alternative captain. So Trig and Kanji obviously have done brilliantly in the last 2 weeks. Both got in Palmer, which none of the rest of us did. But he's got probably the best fixture in the league this game week against Burnley. At home, I think it's at home, isn't it? Is he worth bringing in for this 1 game week? And I'm assuming if you did, you would captain him when he's then got Arsenal, Villa, Newcastle, Everton. I mean, from my end, I am thinking about it possibly, but only because I can do it in 1 transfer. Otherwise, I'm not too sure. But Trig, what do you? Well, if you didn't have him, would you be tempted for this 1 game week?
I think in your case, I would. If you could just do it in 1 transfer, Rice to Palmer.
Yeah, and also he's playing Rice blanks, doesn't he? So
yeah, exactly. So you don't have to sell him again. I mean, people are saying he's only good for 1 week, but you can bench him against Arsenal probably and play Szoboszlai or somebody like that. And then Villa, Newcastle, Everton aren't that bad, really.
Yeah, if not for an attacker.
If he's in form, then they're good fixtures for him, aren't they? So, yeah, in your case, it's worth doing. As long as because like you said, you're also getting rid of somebody who doesn't play in game week 31. So it's not like it's really costing you too much, is it? Because you'd have to get rid of Rice anyway. So,
what if it was two moves, Trig?
Yeah, that's a bit trickier. And it
It is,
depends
isn't
who you're taking out as well. I mean, if you're getting rid of two people that aren't playing in 31 and bringing in two that are, then it's probably okay.
Darius, you tempted at all, mate, with Palmer?
I know I kind of disagree with Palmer. I think it is a one-week play and a one-week play only. I'm going to talk through why. So if we have a look at Palmer's returns over the last 2 weeks, which has pretty much been the only returns he's had all season, three of the 5 returns have been penalties. Now, that's not sustainable at all. And I'll bring it back to what Harry said in his video. Chelsea are top of the XG charts for the last 6 because they've played the shittest teams in the league the last 6 weeks. They've played Wolves, they've played West Ham, and they've played, who's the other team that they've played the last, Leeds. Wow, Leeds have gone way up the table. Okay, well, maybe I'm being a little bit that's because they're Leeds and they're all sheep scum. But anyways, neither here nor there. They've played 3 of probably the bottom 6 teams in the league where they'll finish. They're about to play the 4th of the bottom 6 this week. So you'd expect goals against Burnley. I've got no faith in Chelsea keeping a clean sheet against Burnley, and that just sums up how good Chelsea are at the moment. I think once they get past this game, I reckon they're going to lose to Arsenal. I reckon they're going to lose to Villa. They'll probably, I don't know, that Newcastle game. It just depends on whether Newcastle played in Europe or if they're out, because if they're out of Europe, Newcastle will beat Chelsea. The only game I think that they actually do any good in is the Everton game, because Everton, that's away, and Everton have not been very good at home. Outside of that, I've got no interest in owning any Chelsea players. João Pedro will be straight out of the team next week because, yes, you can beat up on the easy beats, but Chelsea have shown they can't even defend against the easy beats. They've conceded twice at home to West Ham. They've conceded twice at home to Leeds. And if they concede twice at home to Burnley, they're going to get absolutely spanked by these other teams. Because if you defend like that against the crap, you will get spanked and handed it to when you actually play a decent team that knows how to keep a clean sheet.
Well, the more goals they let in, the more they need to score, don't they? And Palmer doesn't really care too much. I mean, it's only 1 point you're losing if they lose the clean sheet. But yeah, I agree with what you said, but he has shown signs of actually really good form, especially that last match. Take out the penalty, he's still absolutely played a fantastic game. And if he is back to anywhere near his best, then you're saying you're going to get goals against Burnley. So that could be worth bringing him in alone. I mean, you could be talking 16, 20 points. So, then you can take him out if you want to, and you're still way ahead of where you would have been.
Trig, did you know? I don't normally like comedy, but someone's just said it's 4-0 currently to Newcastle, Gary. And you know how I said I'm captaining Gordon? Gordon scored a hat-trick, Trig.
Yeah, and I forgot to change my captain. I'm stuck on Mbappe. I mean, it doesn't matter because I'm not winning that UCL anyway. I just do it for a bit of fun. But yeah, I forgot to change my captain last night.
Unlucky.
But it doesn't really matter.
It's typical if you've got Gordon in your FPL team, you see, so it's typical when you see him do brilliantly in the Champions League, then he probably won't do anything in FPL for weeks, will he?
Exactly. He's got a hat trick there.
It's like Dirty Dom.
And 33rd minute, he scores.
Dirty Dom returned quite a bit for me towards the end there.
Quorabag got an expected goal of 0.00 and Newcastle was 3.61. And they drew with Chelsea, that team.
That's what I'm saying, Trig. Chelsea are no good against the good teams.
I know. Well, this is why I'm not even sure I'm captaining Palmer, because I honestly think that the hype around Palmer has been a little too much. And I wouldn't be surprised if Enzo outscored him this week.
Really?
I mean, why not? I mean, it doesn't have to be Palmer who gets all the points, does it?
He does have an XG Enzo over the last few.
Yeah. So, or it could be, João Pedro. I think they're going to be scared to touch him in the box. So I'm expecting him to get a bit of space, probably score some goals. And I'd rather have him as captain than Palmer, to be honest with you, I think. Although Delap could come on, couldn't he, after a certain amount of time? But there's no real reason to rest anybody for the Chelsea match.
No.
But certainly I'd much rather have Palmer in my team than Rice anyway for this game week. So if you can do it in one move, it's still going to be a good move, isn't it? So
I think so, yeah. Can we move on to Liverpool? Yeah. Well, Lee, yeah, I mean, you're proof of that. You didn't captain the last 2 weeks and he's not hurt your rank, has he? Should we move on to Liverpool then? So they seem to be coming back into flavour a little bit. I guess largely, well, in large parts they don't blank because they've got 30 in 31. They've got Brighton, and the lead up to that they've got Forest, West Ham, Wolves, and Spurs. So pretty good fixtures. We touched on Van Dijk a bit. I mean, the other names that are going around: Verts, Ekatike. Who are you considering? If anyone, Darius, do you want to start us off on this one, mate?
Well, yeah, I've already got Verts, and I'm pretty happy to own him, to be honest, at the moment. I do like Virgil. However, also don't think there's much between Virgil and Canade, and I think in my brain, I'd rather save 0.5. And the only reason why I say that, right, so the only difference between Canade and Virgil at the moment is that Virgil had the bullet shoulder because they both had a headed goal each over the last few weeks. And in terms of their underlying numbers for DC points, there's about 0.2 DC per 90 between them. So it's not like there's one that's massively outperforming the other. They're all pretty similar. So at the end of the day, it's like, do you go with the slight differential that's cheaper and hope that whatever? The other player that I will want to talk about as well is Kirkes. Now, the reason why Liverpool have actually become better defensively the last 5 or 6 weeks is because Kirkes is no longer doing his headless chicken nonsense that he was doing at the start of the season and getting completely caught out. But he's actually also looking a lot more like the Bournemouth player in terms of his going forward. So there's a world where I just ditch the Virgil Canade thing and actually bring in Kirkes because I think he might actually have the best attacking upside. Yes, he's not going to get you the DC, but I feel like he's the one that's capable of getting, an assist or maybe even, heaven forbid, a cheeky goal on the attack. So, and they'll be very different. No one else is going to go there. Everyone else will be probably going to Virgil because, that's the what people would call the safe play. We all know I like taking on the safe play. So he does interest me. If we got news that Haaland was out, I would be very tempted to go for a triple Liverpool attack of Vert, Salah, and Ekatike. I won't lie because obviously my team value is really good, and I could easily get both of them in any Haaland kind of switcheroo. I think outside of them, I've got no interest in Dirty Dom. Sorry to the people watching, hoping that I'm going to recommend Dirty Dom. He's going to be playing right back more than anything else because they just don't have any right backs that stay fit. And I've got no interest in bringing in a midfielder, as Andrew has talked about with Anderson. If they're getting 4 points, yes, congratulations. You're going to get 40 points over the space of 10 weeks, probably guaranteed. But you're not going to be getting – and I know he's scored a couple of goals.
He's done better from right back than he did from midfield.
Yeah, but I just don't see him getting those continuous returns. I mean, most of the teams are pretty good at defending direct free kicks. He's not going to keep scoring them, I don't think.
No. Trig, what do you reckon, mate, on Liverpool?
Well, Szoboszlai, I mean, he is very good at those free kicks, isn't he? And he's on corners as well. So I think even when he's playing back, he's going to get points, I think.
Defcons.
But Kirkes has looked a lot better. However, they still have Robertson around, don't they? And they're going to have Champions League and all those sort of things coming up. So
didn't Robertson go to Spurs?
Rotation. Did he?
I think Robertson went to Spurs. Darius, did he?
No, he was going to. Then they pulled the plug on the deal because they realised they've got no other defenders. And what are they going to do if somehow, heaven forbid, Kirkes got an injury and they had no one to replace?
Where's old Shimikas nowadays?
That's why they pulled it. He's on loan somewhere, and they couldn't bring him back. So that's why they, because I think that's what they were going to do. They were going to bring back Timisis or whatever his name is and send Robertson to Spurs, but they couldn't bring him back. I think that's why they jettisoned the deal.
So Salah and Wirtz is an interesting one.
Salah, yeah.
Wirtz has looked pretty good, hasn't he? So I want to see this Forest game first before I make my mind up on Salah, because it's still a pretty small sample size, but he has looked a lot livelier than he has been. There's no doubt about it. So he was very keen to take that penalty too. I was a bit worried Szoboszlai might have got them off him, but I'm going to have the money because I can get Palmer and Hillen Palmer out and Hillen and Salah next week as part of a 4 transfer thingy. Or I can get Wirtz, and then I can afford Virgil van Dijk back as well. So I can get Wirtz and Virgil van Dijk, have more money. I mean, Salah is an awful lot of money, isn't he? So it does kind of limit you a bit elsewhere. If you're keeping Haaland as well, like I am. So, but if something happens to Haaland, then I can have them all. So it's a bit of a change of, definitely have Salah if Haaland's out.
I guess because a lot of us are playing the wildcard soon, it doesn't feel like such a long term. I mean, I guess it is 4 or 5 weeks, but it's not like you're attaching yourself onto him for the rest of the season, is it?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying in my video yesterday. People need to stop worrying about game week 33 and game week 30. If you've got a wild card, all you've got to concentrate on is up to game week 31, isn't it? And we're just playing that little block. And anything else is irrelevant at the moment, unless you're doing a silly strategy where you're using your wild card now. But
spoilers.
So you can, you can get Salah in, you can mess up your team structure for 5 weeks, and it doesn't really matter too much, does it? The important thing is you make sure you've got 11 players for game week 31. But yeah, I mean, if Haaland's out, everyone would have Salah, won't they? But otherwise, I think Wirtz is I reckon Wirtz and Virgil, nice combination. And you could even chuck in a Szoboszlai or an Ekitike rather than going all in on Salah. But I mean, some people will.
Yeah. I've highlighted 2 comparisons here I thought we could briefly talk about, because I know people are sort of eyeing these 2 teams up this week. So, first of all is Brentford, who've got, and if I don't do Palmer this week, I probably will be looking at one of these 2. They've got Brighton, Burnley, Bournemouth, Fulham, Leeds between now and 32. Dango Atara versus Schade. What do you reckon out of those 2, Trig? I think Schade's one and a bit million more expensive, I think.
Yeah, on those, just on price alone, I'd just pick Dango, because it is quite a significant price difference when none of us really know which one's going to get the most points. So in that case, you're better off just going with the cheapest one. So you can't say for sure Schade's better. I know Review likes Schade, doesn't he? Someone was saying we can expect Andy to start talking about Schade a lot this week.
We really like both of them. They're both really high. Both really high.
They're not that high on Solio, strangely enough. They're a lot lower down. Dango's, because I was thinking of doing Rice to Dango this week, thinking that Dango's better, but Solio thinks Rice is actually better against Tottenham, and Dango is at home to Brighton. Of course, they're not always right, but
no,
So I nearly bought Dango a couple of weeks ago. I kind of wish I had instead of Sarr, but he looked really good against Arsenal as well, didn't he? Unlucky not to get points.
What are your thoughts on this one, Darius? And also Hill versus Senesi. Obviously, Hill is only 4 million, and he has been outdoing Senesi on just about every metric recently, including Defcons.
I think that Hill versus Senesi is a much easier conversation than Dango versus Schade. I think, I can't make a case for buying Senesi over Hill. He's 4 million. Like when someone costs that much and you're getting that output from him, it seems like a bit of a hack. Like 4 mil just seems stupidly underpriced. The other thing that is interesting in terms of the Dango versus Schade one, the thing that would concern me going for Schade, if you were to go that way, and it might actually end up being the more differential route, is the fact that when Collins was out, it's like he's having to work back for his place in the team. And Schade's now missed 3 games, and I'm concerned because Brentford are playing well. It's not like they've just lost 3 games in a row. I actually think he might actually have to work his way back into the team because of the red card. I wouldn't be surprised if he started on the bench with the way that Andrew seems to favour the players that are in the team. And then if you're out for whatever reason, you almost have to kind of work your way back in. The only player that hasn't been the case with this season has been Thiago. And I think that might be because of the fact that you really don't have an alternative. So when he's fit, he plays. Because even if you have a look at Van den Berg went out of the team for whatever reason. I think he missed with illness, but then he was on the bench for 4 games in a row. Then Collins somehow gets injured, sick, whatever, and then all of a sudden he's out of the lineup for what's now been 3 games in a row. So that, I think, would put me enough off Schade to make Dango a very easy selection, I think, over him.
That's a good point. You got any thoughts on Hill, Senesi, Drew?
Yeah, it's got to be Hill, hasn't it? No, I mean, Senesi's DEFCONs have dropped right off, haven't they, since Hill came back? And to me, this highlights a big problem with DEFCONs and the pricing, because there's no way they can ever be priced up properly, because the DEFCONs aren't dependent on the ability of the player. They're dependent on the formation and the things that the manager does. You know, bringing in Hill, suddenly Hill, you've got a 4 million player. I mean, this is going to happen every season. So we're going to have a lot of trouble trying to get a tough pricing structure in, because you never know pre-season which players are going to be getting all the DEFCONs in any particular season. So, but like at the moment, it's Hill, isn't it? You've got to go there. I think Senesi's 4.9.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's like Lundstrom, but it's DCs instead of goals.
Yeah, he's getting assists and that as well, isn't he? I mean, it's Bournemouth seem to keep these players out the hat, don't they? When they lost Huijsen last year to Real Madrid, they kind of didn't miss a beat, did they? Just keep going, bringing these new players in.
Yeah, for anyone who's not been playing FPL for 5-6 years, Lundstrom was a 4 million Sheffield United defender who was actually a midfielder who scored. What did he score? He got like 10 goals, didn't he, Trig?
Yeah, I don't think I ever owned him.
I know. All right, so any other, just before we look on, so yeah, we're talking about Bournemouth though. I should have read out the fixtures. Obviously, West Ham, Sunderland, Brentford, Burnley, Man United in the blank. The only other one I can see really worth mentioning is Aston Villa, who've got Leeds, Wolves, Chelsea, Man United, West Ham. Really not getting talked about much, are they, Greg?
No. A week or 2 ago, everybody was talking about Rodgers, weren't they? We were all going to bring Rodgers in, and then he has one blank, and then suddenly he's like, oh, he hasn't got enough route to points. We can't have him. So, so the narrative changes really quickly, doesn't it? Depending on whether someone's got points or not, basically.
Yeah. Darius, any fixtures you wanted to talk about before we move on to talk about the chips?
Yeah, so Man City. Now, I know a lot of people probably looking to sell Man City players because obviously they're blank in 31. However, I am of the opposite opinion. I think that they are actually very good buys, because if you look at the fixtures for the next 4 weeks, they're stupidly good. Newcastle at home, I think, will be a very easy fixture. Leeds away probably won't be difficult for Man City either. Then it's Nottingham Forest and West Ham. And then outside of that, they've got Chelsea. And we all know how bad Chelsea are at defending, so they're probably going to spank Chelsea there as well. And then past Chelsea, it looks pretty good. So I think of all the players outside of Gabriel, and I think you should hold Gabriel if you've got him as an Arsenal asset, because I just think he arguably is probably the best defender in the game. I think that buying Man City and holding 2 of their players for the blank is perfectly viable because of how good the fixtures are. And like I've seen a lot of the big content creators of Man City in the bottom 4 for FDR because they missed game week 31. As far as I'm concerned, they should be near the top. Their fixtures are actually really damn good. And I think that people are just dismissing them because of the fact that they're missing a week. But outside of that, for me, they look really good on paper.
We'll see in a while if you're still thinking about Semenyo. Anything you want to pull out, Trig, before we go on to have a look at the...
No, everything's all good.
Okay, right. There are very good podcasts out there which you can go and watch, like Planet FPL, if you want to know deep double game weeks. I'm just going to cover this briefly. This is to sort of summarize, this is Ben Krellin's table. And you can see here, at least in theory, there's going to be a lot of blanks in 34. I think a maximum of 4 because of the way the FA Cup has worked out. So you can see there potentially Arsenal, Newcastle, Chelsea's match, Liverpool's match, Man City's match, Fulham's match. Basically, any of them could potentially be called off, but it's dependent on tons of different things, results in the FA Cup, etc. But this and this table's from FPL Mate, who's coming on over the international break. Obviously, this is very much just based on what we expect might happen. But I'll bring in the expected clip strategy here. So the content creator clip strategy, I'll call it, which is going to be dead end into 31, which I believe we're all doing. Wildcard in 32, bench boost in 33, and then free hit in 34, which is going to probably be the biggest blank week. So first of all, lads, before we go on to the alternative plan, which I've mentioned in the title to this video, are you planning on doing that? Is that your thought still at the minute? Trig, it is mine.
Yeah, 100%. I've never even considered anything else, really. There's just so much that we don't know. And all you really need to know is that you're doing it, and then you don't need to worry about any of it. You know, you don't need to worry who beats who and all of that kind of nonsense until you actually get there.
Cuts down the cognitive load, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think if people have used their free hit chip, they're going to be in trouble, because I can see game week 34, there's going to be hardly any games. Is it 34?
Yeah, 34. I think there's a maximum of 4 that can actually go offload. So there'll be 6. Yeah, but it's still 18.
Oh, okay. But
still massive.
The only thing we need to worry about now is that game week 31, Man City and Palace. So, because there is a possibility that actually comes into 31. And if that happens, then City and Palace assets no longer need to be got rid of. You know, for example, I'm thinking of kicking out Lacroix and Sarr in a week or two's time. But hopefully by then, I'm not sure what date we find out about that one.
That's what I was thinking. Darius, any idea when we find out, man?
I think it comes down largely to because Palace are in the Conference League. I think it comes down to whether they progress or not, doesn't it?
Yeah, and Man City getting knocked out of something or other.
Yeah, and of the round of 16 or whatever. There's a lot of
lose to Real Madrid. Yeah, if they lose to Real Madrid, there's a chance it can be played, I think. And they could well lose against Real Madrid, couldn't they?
I don't know. I think Real Madrid, I've seen enough of the Spanish league this year to think that they're going to be no problems to be dispatched. I mean, they just don't look very good. Both of those teams are losing to teams in the bottom half of the Spanish league, and I don't think much of the Spanish league outside of the top 4. So I don't think they're going to be. Both of them are very inconsistent. Yes, Real Madrid do have a history of doing well in the Champions League, but they've already sacked their manager, and I don't think Ariola, whatever his name is not being taken to very well by the fans or the players, from what I can gather.
Trent was pretty good last night, wasn't he? First time I've seen him play for a while. Yeah, so I think we can kind of forget about that game week 31, can't we, really?
Yeah. Des, are you on the same clip strategy, mate? I know you still got your triple captain left, but roughly, wildcard 32, bench boost, free hit later on.
Yeah, so my bench boost is not being flagged for game week 33. Factually, I'm looking to play my triple captain in 33. That's what I'm looking to do. And there are some juicy fixtures there. I am literally hoping that Brentford keep winning, because I tell you what, it'll be going straight on Bruno Fernandes. Stuff the bench boost. Chelsea away is a very good fixture for Bruno, and then Brentford at home is also a very good fixture for Bruno. And I tell you what, I reckon he could easily get 20 plus points over those 2 fixtures quite comfortably.
They're playing Chelsea away.
Yeah, well, Chelsea away. Have you seen Chelsea the last 2 home fixtures? They've conceded twice to West Ham and literally got blown away for 45 minutes. And then they completely imploded against Leeds and conceded twice as well. And let's be fair, we might see them concede twice at home to Burnley this weekend as well with the way they're playing.
But by that point, won't we know whether or not Haaland has the double game week in 36?
Yes.
You save it for them.
Well, yeah, that is also the other option. But I am very wary of the double game week 36 because that was my play last year, Gary, if you remember, because I thought that Aston Villa would beat Crystal Palace in the FA Cup.
But you have to forget about past seasons, Darius.
Yeah, which would have given me a double game week of Ollie Watkins, but they didn't get the business done. So I feel like when you leave it that late, and if Man City is still in the Champions League, then that's where you run into the classic case of will they get rested for one of those easy fixtures? And if I look at Man City's one, they would have who have they got if they're in that double? So it's Burnley. Like, I don't think he plays Burnley if they're still in the Champions League. Like, so then you're really only triple captaining him in a single game week, which that has risk attached to it. So if they're out of the Champions League, 100% you play it. If they're still in it, I think you'd have to factor in the fact that he probably just doesn't start one of those games.
I'm just going to quickly check on Arsenal. It's not up yet.
That's
keep an eye out on their X page. Yeah, you keep an eye on it. All right, so we'll move on. So FPL Nightmare, obviously, one of our co-hosts, he's not doing that well this season, lads, is he? He's even amongst us bunch of retrobates. He's even below Darius in our Pubcast host league now. He's I don't know what rank he is. Is he like 1 2 million? So he is playing catch up. He's playing catch up, and he's made 2 videos this week. One outlining a wild card in this game week, and one outlining a wild card in 28. And he's not decided which one he's going to do this. So first of all, lads, I'm going to ask you because obviously we're trying extend this out to our viewers in general. If you are in Nightmare's position, or you're struggling, you're trying to chase rank, you're trying to catch the mini league rivals, do you think wildcarding now to make a move on your opponent is a good idea, Trig?
I think there are better ways to do it. I think just taking out Haaland would be a good start. Take out Haaland, get in Salah, captain him at home to West Ham. Gives you good chances to catch up, I think. Wildcarding now, it kind of, like we said, there's so much that's up in the air for 33, 34, but it's going to be very difficult to navigate without your wild card, probably. I mean, obviously, Andrew's looked into it a lot more than I have, so maybe he's found a way. He's very resourceful, and there are other ways of doing things. So maybe it is a good strategy. I can't really comment because I haven't actually looked at it myself. But other than to kind of dismiss it out of hand, when maybe perhaps there is something in it. But I think he's going to have to save up 5 free transfers, isn't he? If he is going to do it.
Yeah, you're doing well, Tricks. You don't really need to look at doing these alternative things, do you? Darius,
yeah, I'd just change my captain. I mean, I'd definitely be captain in Palmer this week if I was where he is. Rather, at the moment, I'm thinking of captain in Haaland. But yeah, I'd be getting someone in and captaining them and doing that sort of thing. It's not that far behind.
No, Darius, you're only 5 or 6 points. No, sorry, you're only 9 points ahead of him. All right, I've got the team sheets here. Phew, Gabriel starts. I'm just going to read out Arsenal's one. Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié, Rice, Zubimende, Madueke, Martinelli, Saka, Gyökeres.
Saka?
Yeah. He wasn't the bench.
Is Madueke playing?
Yep, Madueke's playing as well. It doesn't show the
Saka's
formation.
Saka's playing in the 10.
Do you reckon?
Or is Madueke on the left?
Oh, yeah, because Martinelli's playing as well. Yeah, you're probably right, Luke.
Yeah, because he was talking about changing him into a 10, weren't they? So maybe he is, because I think
would say
Mourinho's out, isn't he? Is Gyökeres playing? I can't see there.
Yeah,
Gyökeres is up front,
playing as
mate.
well.
Yeah, Gyökeres. Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié, Rice, Zubimendi, Madueke, Martinelli, Saka, Gyökeres. Yeah, Gyökeres has to play, didn't he? Because Havertz is out, I think.
Is Havertz on the bench? Because apparently he could have.
No, he's completely out.
Oh, that's a shame. I was hoping he came on for 5 minutes because quite a few people picked him.
Yeah, bench is Kepa, Mosquera, White, Jesus, Eze, Norgard, Trossard, Calafiori, we couldn't have expected, and Lewis Skelly. You can't be that injured, can he?
Well, we've got all our boys in action anyway. That's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah, fingers crossed. Anyway, right, we'll get back to it. So we're going to have a look at Nightmare's. We'll see if we can find reasoning in what he's doing. So he's got 2 strategies. He's got Wildcard in game week 27, or this strategy, which is to bring in 2 Chelsea this week, and then Wildcard in 28. So let's have a look at his Wildcard 27 and see what we think of it. So Kelleher, Gabriel, Munoz, Hill, Salah, Palmer, Fernandez, Semenyo, Dango, Thiago, Etatike, and then Dubravka, Krupia, Mukalele, and Rodon on the bench. Darius, what do you reckon of this one, mate? I mean, I didn't ask your opinion. You're down in the doldrums there with Nightmare. You're not thinking of hitting the wild card, but if you did, this is what you could have. What do you reckon?
I don't like the draft that Nightmare's gone with here.
Why not?
I just don't think Palmer's a one-week play on a wild card. I think if you're going to bring Palmer in, you transfer him in, a bit like what we're going to see in the next section, and then you wild card him straight back out. I just think he's purely a one-week play, and I wouldn't be wild carding him in. To be honest with you, if I was to wild card, I'd have João Pedro over Palmer all day long, and that'd be my Chelsea attacker. I think he's in better form. That's just my personal opinion, though. Now, Munoz, I wouldn't be going there either. I just think that you're better off going with, I hate to say this because I really don't like Liverpool, but I think I'd go with a Liverpool defender rather than Munoz, because then he's not a transfer in 31, like you're saving that. I know he's only got 3 players at blank in 31, he's actually got more. No, 3. So he's got Munoz, Gabriel, and Semenyo, so only 3. So that's not an issue. He's already well set, but I just think I don't know. I think Munoz is not the player he was before he got injured. Now, I've watched Crystal Palace since he's been back, and yes, they've improved with Munoz back in the team, but Munoz is definitely not at the same level that he was at before he got injured. So for that reason, I think I just avoid him again. I feel like Munoz is really just this 1 week, because I'm not convinced when Palace back in Europe from next week onwards that they're going to play that well in the league, and their form's been pretty atrocious as well. And now just look at his bench. Like his bench is
not that great, are they? Apart from the Leeds one, Man United, Tottenham, and Newcastle, and a blank.
Yeah, and I just look at his bench. I'm like, he hasn't played bench boost yet, and your bench is Dubravka, Kruppi, Junior, Mukiele, and Rodon, and 3 of those 4 players I don't rate. So it's hard for me to sit there and say that's good. Like when I did a draft earlier today, wildcard for Nightmare's benefit, the bench was stacked. So you could actually play a good bench boost and not be worrying about the teams that you're investing in, like Dubravka for Burnley, Rodon for Leeds, Kruppi Jr., where you don't know if he's going to start. I think that is problematic. And I think that I would much rather, if I was to wildcard now, I'd be wildcarding to set up for the bench boost if you haven't already got a bench boostable worthy team. And that is not a bench boostable worthy team. That will require multiple transfers to fix. So for that reason, I think that if you're wildcarding, the idea is to save transfers, right? I don't think this draft saves transfers. I think it's good for 1 or 2 weeks, and I think he's going to have to start using transfers again to fix it.
Trig, what do you reckon, mate? I mean, one thing I will say, you have got 3 million more team value than him, Darius. So that's probably part of it. What do you reckon to this one, Trig?
Mrs. Trigger's plunged me into darkness. He's come in and turned the light out, so hopefully you can still see me.
I can see you later.
No, I really like this team. It's very good wildcard team. He's obviously taken into account game week 31.
Oh, was that Haaland?
He can roll he can roll this team, get his 5 free transfers up without any problem. Anybody gets an injury, he can just bench them because he's got a decent bench. And I quite like it as a wild card. In a vacuum, it's great as a wild card. The only issue, of course, is going to be once we get round to the double game week, whereas, like Darius says, he might have trouble coming up with kind of a proper bench boost. But I have a feeling he's going to use his bench boost outside of the double game week, isn't he? I think that was his plan.
But it makes no sense because he's used his triple captain this week, Trig. So if you've used your triple captain already, you're almost wedded. Well, you should be wedded to a bench boost 33 because what other chip are you going to play in there unless you're going to free hit into the 33 week, which I suppose is possible. But
I think
if you use triple captain, it makes it a lot harder.
Was he going to free hit in the double game week?
I think so. I feel like I heard him talk about that. But I don't know. I haven't watched today's video, so I can't comment if that is the
neither
case.
have I, unfortunately.
Yeah, you'd have to really know the fixtures, though, to know if that would work or not, because you don't know who you're going to need for the following game week, do you? So it's very difficult, very difficult. I can see he could get an advantage here for like a few weeks boost. But then
I guess that's the idea, isn't it?
Bashed about when he gets to 33, 34, we're all going to make up a hell of a lot of ground on him.
So I think that the best strategy is obviously Nightmare's only 9 points behind me, and I've got no interest in pressing the wild card button early, like none at all. I just think that you don't know what those doubles are going to be, and we know that the next round of FA Cup, I think there's 2 all Premier League ties. I think there's Newcastle versus Man City, and there's one other one, that Wolves versus Liverpool, I think it is. So you'd imagine Wolves and Newcastle probably get kicked out of that. Might open it. Will definitely confirm the fixture for Spurs versus Wolves in 34. And then I don't know. I'm not sure if Newcastle's fixture gets confirmed or not. I can't remember who they're playing in 34. But if that happens, it's the round that happens between 31 and 32, that weekend of FA Cup, which I think is the 5th, 6th round, whatever it is. That's when you'll find out all the fixtures that are going to be happening realistically in game week 34 and which ones won't be and which ones will double. And I think that information in and itself, and I'm not one that I like moving early. People know that I normally make my moves early on in the week and I just roll with it. But when you know so much is going to happen between that 31 and 32 and you can just press the wild card then, and in my case, and I'm very much open, I will not be picking a template team for that wild card 32. I'll be going with the low-owned players because that's how I will be attacking it, because of the fact that where we are, me and Nightmare, that's what I'll be recommending, is holding on to there, looking at the fixtures, knowing what's there, and then just going, all right, the masses are going for these players. How can I take these players on in an intelligent manner and do it that way? Because I think that has a lot more scope for success than just throwing a Hail Mary now and going too early and then coming unstuck when all of a sudden your team needs major surgery.
Do you know what comes to mind?
I agree with all of that, I think.
Do you know what comes to mind? Do you know, like in the long races, like your 1,500 meters, 5,000, when you get the people that shoot out in the early doors and they go miles ahead, and then the people who are like the mid-pack come and take them over because they've run out of energy. That's what a wild card to me feels like now. But we'll respect Andy. As you said, he's got strategy. So viewers, keep a mental note of this because I am going to ask you which one you prefer. Let's move on to strategy 2. So strategy 2 would be to bring Palmer and Galpeggio in for, who did we say before we started streaming, lads? It would be for Palmer. What can you remember, Darius?
Yeah, it's Haaland out and Bruno G, who obviously is injured for the next 6-7 weeks.
Yeah. And then wildcard in 28, which would be to Kelleher, Virgil, Gabriel, Nunes, Salah, Fernandez, Semenyo, Rogers, Dango, Thiago, Ekatike, with Dubravka, Calvert-Lewin, Mikelele, and Hill on the bench. Trig, what do you reckon to this one? I mean, the bench looks better. Would you say?
I mean, I guess it makes a bit more sense because he doesn't have to worry about Palmer. Like, he can But he does burn another transfer doing that way, doesn't he? Whereas if he wildcarded this week, the following week he'd have more transfers. But there's not much between them. I mean, it's both a similar strategy, really, isn't it? That's the main thing, using the wild card too early. So it doesn't really matter who he's got in the team as such. I mean, as teams, I think I prefer the second team, I think. Yeah, the one on the right looks a better team.
Yeah, so the one on the left is his current team. That's not a wild card. That would just be 2 transfers. That would just be 2 transfers this week for Palmer and João Pedro, and then he'd wild card in 28.
Oh, well, his first team isn't bad. I mean, I know the second one's a bit better, but the first one isn't bad. Certainly not bad enough to wild card. I mean, he's just captaining Palmer this week is a big differential for him. He could catch up like 20, 30 points on the field just this week if that team goes well with João Pedro and Palmer in it. So, and Munoz, so, just play the first team and keep your options open would be my advice.
So I'm going to do a quick poll. Which strategy should Nightmare do? I'm going to go strategy 1, strategy 2, or keep your wild card, Andrew.
I mean, I think João Pedro can score against anybody the way he's playing.
He can. He can.
So, I mean, you could bench him against Arsenal, but you could play him. It's not the end of the world if you have to play him against Arsenal. And they're wobbling. They're having a bit of a wobble. Brentford were all over them. And I'd just go with that first team there and keep João Pedro and Palmer.
He's got 2 transfers this week, doesn't he? So he's actually got 2 transfers to use this week.
Yeah, that's the first team there. He's already used them to get Palmer and João Pedro in.
See, what takes him up to game week 28? So between 28 and 31, there's 1, 2, 3. He can make 4 more transfers, and he's got Timber, Gabriel, Munoz, and Rice. So that's 4 players because he can play Dubravka instead of Henderson. So he's not the goalkeeper transfer.
Yeah, he's in a good position.
Yeah, I don't think he needs a wild card. Like, the more I look at it, the more I go, I like option 1 if he wants to chase rank now and just go throw a Hail Mary, by all means. And then next week, so in 28, he's got Palmer, and Palmer will be at 10.6 million. 3.2 onto that is 0.2 short of 14 mil. He can almost move Palmer to Salah straight out the gate in 28 if he wanted to.
He could take a hit and get rid of João Pedro and Palmer.
Get rid of one of those blankers like Munoz and get in someone else that is going to play like Canade.
Hill.
Yeah, or Hill. Yes, yep. And then he'd be
Hill and Palmer in. Hill and Salah in. Munoz, Palmer out. Probably be enough. He's already got 3.2 million in the bank. He could almost get Salah for Palmer just about.
Yeah, exactly.
Just short. So just do that. I mean, he could get so many points from João Pedro and Palmer this week, but a -4 is nothing. So,
well, that's why I took Thiago out for João Pedro, because I was like, I reckon for 3 weeks, João Pedro spanks him. And at the moment, but hopefully he does the same this week. And it would probably be one of my best points transfers this season, even with the hit for it. And then obviously you just swap him back.
So he's got a good team, basically. I don't know why he's even thinking about wildcarding.
Yeah, well, that's
views and content.
So far, number 2 is ahead with keep your wildcard, Andrew, is joint first. But I just want to highlight one from FPL Hippie. Shout out to my younger son who triple captained Madueke. Very nice, Hippie. Very nice, Hippie. Yeah, but the other thing, when you were saying that, Darius, you should get rid of that blanker. Think about another word that sounds similar. Do you know what I mean? So let's move on to the game week preview, Darius' favourite slide. So kickoff starts at 3 o'clock. I think the first kickoff is this week. So Villa Leeds, Villa favourites there. Brentford, Brighton, fairly tight, but Brentford slight favourites. Chelsea, Burnley. Chelsea clear favourites, highest clean sheet odds, highest predicted goals on 2.65 against Burnley. West Ham, Bournemouth, really tight. I think that's the tightest one we've seen all season. 0.00 predicted goals difference and equal clean sheet odds. That is a draw, according. If Rob T's graphic means anything, Darius, that's got to be a draw. I'm going to say. Then Man City favourites against
either 2-2 or 1-1 based on that prediction.
Man City favourites against Newcastle, second highest goals predicted 2.32. Crystal Palace favourites against Wolves, second highest clean sheet odds. Sunderland, Fulham, quite close, but Sunderland slight favourites. Forest versus Liverpool, Forest favourites. Sorry, Liverpool favourites there. Tottenham, Arsenal clear favourites there, and then Everton, Man United, slight favourites. So yeah, should we talk about captaincy, guys? I mean, it's really tight this week, isn't it? I mean, Trig, you've got Palmer, and you're saying you're still thinking about Haaland.
Yeah, I mean, I think objectively, Palmer's possibly the best captain this week. But whether I want to captain him or not is a different matter because it's pretty close. And I think there's going to be, if we hear that Haaland's fit and firing, he's going to be very heavily captained, isn't he, this week? So I've got to decide whether I want to take on the risk. Whereas just owning Palmer, I think, is going to be enough for me. So if Palmer gets 20 points, I want for a nice big green arrow, whether I captain Haaland or captain Palmer. Obviously, I'd do a lot better if I'd captain Palmer. But if Haaland gets points and Palmer doesn't, and I captain Palmer, I'm stuffed. Like, imagine a scenario where Enzo Fernandez outscores Palmer, and I've captained Palmer, and everyone else has got Enzo and captain Haaland. I'm screwed. So that is what is putting me off captaining Palmer. So we'll see on Haaland updates.
What are your odds? 50-50 at the minute? Or?
Yeah, about 50-50. It depends on Haaland news. I think tonight's Newcastle game has pushed me a bit further towards Palmer because I've had it pretty easy. It's not like one of those real tough European matches, is it? Like in Italy or somewhere. It's like they've been strolling around knocking the goals in for fun. So
like pre-season.
Yeah, so it's not going to be that tiring for them. And mentally, it's probably quite refreshing for them to score 5 goals or whatever they've got now. So
they've just conceded that.
It is a big risk. It is a big risk me going Palmer. Unless we hear that Haaland's a doubt and then all the Haaland captaincies split amongst a whole load of other people and then the risk disappears. So I'm really hoping that there's a negative news on Haaland, but I really don't think there will be. I mean, it was pretty obvious he was never going to play in that FA Cup game, was he? So I think that's irrelevant. And the yellow flag is putting people off, but really that's nothing either.
Darius, our resident Captain Maverick, I'm assuming you're captain in Mukalele.
Yeah, I wish. No, Mukiele's probably even making the team, I don't think, at this point. I think he's going to be very stiff to miss out, but I think he is actually going to end up on the bench, and that feels bad because I think this is a fixture where Mukiele will return. It's just I don't like the rest of my bench enough in order to press the bench boost, as we'll look at, unless I make some moves, and then I might be tempted by it. But this one's a tough one because at the moment I have Haaland captain and João Pedro vice captain. I think João Pedro is actually a very good captaincy shout this week.
Yeah.
I actually, as I said all week, I think I prefer João Pedro over Palmer just because of the fact that I feel like João Pedro's actually got the explosiveness in him regardless of whether he gets penalties or not. We've seen him get like 16 points. We've seen him get 15 points. Like he's been playing well. And since Rossini has come in, one player that actually has consistently been playing well over these games is João Pedro. And you're not worried about his groin. Like, and that's the thing that would concern me with Palmer is like, if it's an easy game and they're up by 3 goals by 50 minutes and Palmer's not involved, he probably gets subbed at 60 minutes. because of the fact that, I think that he definitely still has an issue, and they'd be very keen if the game was comfortable to get him off. I think Brasilia won't hesitate to bring him off. But there are alternatives this week. I think based on how Forest go tomorrow, you could look at a Liverpool player. I think that they will score goals against Forest. The Palace Wolves game, based on what I saw against Palace and Burnley, I think I'd just avoid that. You'd have to be very brave to go there. You can make a case for Thiago against Brighton. Brighton have been woeful of late as well. You can even look at like Rodgers potentially against Leeds. Leeds are nowhere near as good away from home. A bit like Sunderland, when they play away, it's a very different team to the one that plays at home. And I think that you could probably even look at a Villa player. I wouldn't be looking at Spurs Arsenal. I think Spurs will score. I think Rob T's doing them a disfavour. I think that they will lose, but I expect them to score in the North London derby at the minimum. And I'd be avoiding the Man United Everton game for captaincy. I know you talked about it in one of your videos, I think yesterday, Trig, about like Bruno, but from experience this season, I've sat there and with Man United, whenever they end up on the Monday kickoff, it's either feast or it's famine. And I've done it 3 times this season, and there's only been 1 feast and 2 absolute famines going on. So I'm going to recommend against captaining a Man United player just based on it can quite often, if you're a Man United fan, it brings you pain when they're the last game of the game week and they don't do what you think they're going to do. And Everton's one of those teams where you think they should win comfortably, but they probably don't.
Anything else you want to pick out about the fixtures? Sorry,
one thing with João Pedro, if they are winning 2 or 3-0, I mean, he could come off for Delap as well, couldn't he? I mean, any of those Chelsea players can come off. But look, I went for a run yesterday because I've had a groin strain for like 2 months. And some days I go out and run and I'm like really fluent. Other days, the groin starts playing up and it's just totally random. And, if Palmer wakes up in one of those kind of days where all his muscles aren't quite working very well, then you never know. So, I mean, it is a risk, isn't it? And like Darius said earlier, I mean, he's had 3 penalties. If you take them away, his returns haven't been that fantastic, have they, really? I mean, he missed that big open goal last week, but he should have had an 18-pointer last week. But, yeah, you can't. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Enzo Fernandez outpoints him this week. Yeah. So I'm kind of leaning
because I feel like Enzo actually playing next to Caicedo. He actually, for me, he seems to get more points playing in that position because he makes those late runs into the box and then somehow it never gets picked up. And then that's when he gets his goals. When he's playing closer to goal, that's when he blanks, generally speaking, from what I've seen.
So we'll go. I've just started a poll for captaincy. I put Palmer, Pedro, and Haaland in there. So this is the results of the Nightmare poll. Only 18% go for strategy 1, which was the game week 27 captaincy. 33% for strategy 2, which was the game week 28 captaincy. 49% keep your wild card, Andrew, which I think is pretty much what we said as well, wasn't it, guys? I can't say I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, okay. There's no need to wild card at all, is there?
I just think it's chasing. You remember as well, last season he went on a different kip strategy to, I can't remember why. He went against the template kip strategy and he blames it, I think, in large part, as well as trying to close off his mini league, for his poor end to the season. So I don't know why he's repeating the same mistake. Sorry, Andrew. I mean, Andrew's not here. He's obviously watching the Newcastle match. But when you watch that back, that's my take-home message to Andrew. Anything you want to add, lads, about the fixtures, or Andrew, before we go on to the differentials?
No. I think it's a high-scoring week this week. I reckon there's going to be quite a few goals this weekend.
Well, Gordon's got 4 goals. That's the end of my Champions League campaign. At least they own him, I suppose.
48 points as captain, Trig.
I guess everybody owns. Yeah, I stuck on Mbappe with 5.
Mbappe against Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's go on to differentials. So I watched your differentials video yesterday, Darius. I'm storming this game. I am storming this game. So to be fair, top this week was Strand Larson, was Roberto with Strand Larson. Strand Larson.
You beat him, Gary. Like Mad Wakey's still playing. Like unfortunately,
I know I could beat him. Yeah, I could beat him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Top of the pile though is myself. I literally spend 2 minutes doing this every week when Darius sends it to us. So God knows how I am with 90 points. Second is Trig, I think. No, Roberta. That's taken him from bottom to second. Third is Trig with Zoo Mendy with 2 points. I wish you put this in order, Darius. Who's next then? Andrew saw 2 points. Then Darius, he calls himself Differentials King, but he's fifth with Martinelli.
I could overtake Nightmare tonight. Martinelli's starting, so there's a good chance I overtake him.
Okay, fair play. And then, I mean, Cantley Havertz with 0 points and he's not even on the bench. So,
never go with Kanji's pick. They never show up. He keeps picking Esteval. He somehow never shows up to play when he picks him. He's had Kanji's luck in terms of picking blokes that just don't bother to show up for the game is legendary. Almost every week, every other week, he gets 0 points.
Didn't we know Havertz was out before the deadline, or is that just me? Because I know FPL Discomfort was. I invited him on tonight, and he didn't want to come on because he's so annoyed about Havertz, which is one of his Arsenal picks. Hi to Shane, by the way, the double pivot in the chat. Didn't we know that? Because he could have changed it.
I don't know if we
No,
did
it was after the game week had started, Gary. So Havertz was reported injured after the first game.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's go on to our differentials for this week. So Trig's going with Saar. Andrew's going with Mamouche. Roberto's trying to ride off my success with a Madueke. I'm on Pedro Neto. Candy's going for Esteval and Darius Dango. So as usual, we'll justify our picks, the lads that are on the stream, and then we will talk about the other ones. Neto was basically because I wanted someone at home to Burnley and returning to my strategy against Burnley, and he was the only one I could find that was under 5%. And even then, he was only just under 5%. And he's done all right this season, hasn't he? So, yeah. Craig, so in your team, has he redeemed himself? Because in your little prick rants last season, I think you said little prick more about Saar than anyone else.
Yeah,
he redeemed himself.
He's a bit of a troll, isn't he? He's traditionally only ever scores points when he's not in my team. But he did get me 7 points 2 weeks ago, but I think he only got 2 points last week. So I do need some from him this week. Then they're away at Man United when I think I'm going to kick him out after this week, probably. So we shall see how he goes. We don't know if he's on penalties or not because they haven't got one yet.
This week home to Wolves, you've got to be confident from the differentials perspective.
Yeah, one would hope so. But yeah, especially as Wolves have to play Arsenal tonight, don't they? So
they do, yeah.
That Liverpool game, are Forest playing in Europe tomorrow? They are, aren't they, Darius?
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Are they at home?
Good question. I've got no idea. I haven't looked that far ahead. I've no interest in the game other than the fact that Forest. Oh, I've lost Trig.
He's rage quit. He's rage quit again.
He's like, D-Unit didn't know the answer. I'm off.
Darius, you've gone for Dango, who's only 0.6% earned.
I couldn't believe that, Gary. When I was
rage quit again, Trig.
Yeah, trust me to go and check. I went to go and check if
said that
they were playing or not, and I got rid of my screen.
Are they home or away, Trig?
Oh yeah, I'm looking now. Hang on, I've got to look at tomorrow's fixtures. 6-1 now, by the way. It's probably another goal for blooming what's his face, isn't it? They're away in Turkey.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Fenerbahce. Yeah, that's tough.
They'll lose that.
I've got no Liverpool players. I might have to do Timber to Van Dijk.
Darius, you talk us through your Dango pick. It's only 0.6% owned, which is quite interesting in terms of getting him in this week. And give your comments on the other lads.
I was surprised. I think this is because a lot of people actually have a cheap midfielder already. And most of the cheap midfielders are actually pretty good through to the blank. Like for Wilson, for example, is the bloke that's my cheap midfielder. He's obviously 6 million now, but I bought him at 5.2. So I do have that team value tied up in him, but that's the bloke that I'm looking. If I was to move Dango in, it's probably for Wilson, because I think Wilson will actually go down in price, because I don't really rate the Fulham fixtures outside of the blank game week when they've got Burnley at home.
People have been saying they've got good fixtures. What are their fixtures?
Well, yeah, but Fulham aren't in good form, Gary.
It's not great, is it?
Like it's the Burnley game, the Forest and West Ham games, and the Spurs games. I get that, but Fulham have been in a bit of free fall, and I know that I don't like to beat on them too much, but they haven't kept the clean sheet now in almost 10 game weeks, and they've gone back to the Fulham that I talked about at the beginning of the season. Maybe the easier fixtures breed better results, but I'm concerned, and now there's more competition with Bob in the team as well. I just think that Dango just excites me from a lot of, and Brighton are rubbish. Like I've watched Brighton Brighton haven't got a win in, I think, the last 7 games in the league. Like they are a team that is not in good form, and they're going away to Brentford, and Brentford are very good at home. So why not sit there and take a punt on a Dango who's 0.6% owned and just watch the points come in?
Darius, can I comment on something? You're always complaining they don't update these tickers. Sunderland is a red. So at least FPL team.
They're not a red. Sunderland away is not a red fixture. They're a grey fixture. They're not.
Okay, but they've updated it from the start of the season.
Well, they finally updated Wolves and Burnley about 27 weeks too late, Gary, but they finally got there and realised that they are the 19th and 20th place teams that any man and his dog knew from the beginning. Also, Bournemouth have finally been turned off a red fixture. And did you see that Manchester United are now being seen as a red fixture based on, I reckon what they do is great. Every 10 weeks, the blokes that do the FDR tune into the D-Unit videos when I do my FDR, and they just copy it. Other than because there's no other explanation as to why they've finally fixed the colours.
Craig, what do you think Roberto's picked there, Strand Larson? This is surely chasing last week's points.
Well, no, he's a striker at home to Wolves against his old club, isn't he? So
True.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got a hatful. So he could do well. Hopefully Sarr assists him if he does. But up against his old side. I don't know if he left on good terms or not, but he only got 1 goal all season, didn't he, for Wolves?
Yeah. Which I think was against the same teams he scored against last week, which was, who's that? Burnley, wasn't it?
I mean, if Nightmare's doing his wildcard, he could do worse than stick Strand Larson in it, I think.
For a 1 week punt?
Well, not just for 1 week. I mean, Palace are decent. He'd be good on a bench boost at some stage, probably, if he's not bench boosting in 33.
I'm on the wrong slide. Oh, he hasn't even gone for bloody... sorry. My fault. I had the wrong slide up there. He's gone for bloody Madueke, which is copying my wonderful calls.
And you copied me, Gary. I just went a week too early.
Well, not in the double game week. I mean, Andrews depends on Haaland, surely, with Marmouche and Estevao. I know Estevao is a great player, but I wouldn't have gone back there with you, Darius.
Yeah, I just feel like Esteval's one of them ones where he could easily end up on the bench. I might not show up again for Kanji. Because I said it to Kanji. Kanji sent it to me and he goes, Esteval. And I was like, are you sure you want to go back there? Because you've picked him twice before for 0 points. And he goes, he owes me 1. I was like, I hope you're right.
All right, should we move on to our teams for this week? So first up, we've got Trig. Trig has got 3 free transfers, but only 0.1 in the bank. We've got Sanchez at home against Burnley. Gabriel and Timber away to Spurs. Bakura at home to Wolves. Elliot Anderson away to Liverpool. Sorry, home to Liverpool. Sarr away to Wolves. Fernandez away to Everton. Palmer, currently captain, at home to Burnley. Rice away to Spurs. Thiago at home to Brighton. Haaland vice cap at home to Newcastle with Anderson, Tarkowski, and Gooey on the bench. You're looking pretty good this week, Trigger. Saying general, apart from maybe Elliot Anderson.
My plan is pretty much to roll, although seeing Forest away in Turkey tomorrow night, maybe I should get a Liverpool player in, but I'm not 100% sure yet which Liverpool players I want. I mean, I was going to look at this game and see if Salah was going to become an option or not. I don't think I have enough to do Rice to Wirtz. So really, I'd have to do Timber to Hill and Rice to Wirtz, but I'm not sure I want to take out both those Arsenal players before the North London derby. And we'll see. If they really annoy me tonight, they might be out my team by 2 hours' time.
if Haaland's out, what would you do?
Bench him and play Anderson. No, I might not actually. Well, I don't know which Anderson to start, Darius.
You've got the right one. You've got the right one. Because Sunderland away, I think Sunderland away don't create that. They don't attack very much. So I think that the DC chance for the Fulham Anderson is much lower than the Anderson against Liverpool, who obviously will be attacking Forest quite a lot. That's my gut read on it. The one thing I would say, though, is I think that Arsenal will concede at Spurs, and I would probably start Tarkowski instead of Timber, because I think against Man United, he 100% will get the DC in that game.
I'm definitely not doing that. The clean sheet odds for Arsenal are much better than the clean sheet odds for Everton.
That's fair. But I just think that Timber, if he doesn't keep the clean sheets, probably getting 2 points.
Yeah. Well, I see how he is tonight. Like I said, if he annoys me, he's going. I could just do Timber to Virgil van Dijk.
Yep, good move, I reckon.
Do you think Timber's been a flop pick?
He's been points dodging pick.
He could have been great for owners. I mean, I didn't own him all season until last week, but I was always worried about not having him. But he never really did much, did he?
He got that huge, 23 points or whatever early in the season. And I've had him since early December, and I don't think he's ever really done anything apart from tick along with a clean sheet.
I'm in phone.
But Trig, anything else you want to talk about your team before we move on to Darius?
Yeah, just the captaincy, but we've already gone over that, really. Basically, I've got a lot of players that aren't playing in game week 31. I've kind of Gabriel, Timber, Sarr, Rice, Haaland. Yeah.
It would be brilliant for you if that does get moved into 31, the Palace City fixture.
Yeah, that would be a big help,
wouldn't it?
Haaland as well, wouldn't it? But I might be gone before we find out, because I'm probably taking Sarr out after this week. So away at Man United, and they haven't got great fixtures. And Sarr to Dango looks a likely move, or even the new Bournemouth midfielder, or even Tavernier could come back, couldn't he? Steal him from Gary before he gets a chance to buy him.
And review's not recommended in yet. He's safe for now.
And Rice, it looks like Rice to Wirtz, Sarr to Dango, Timber to Hill, Palmer to Salah is an option, or failing that.
That's next game week.
Yeah, or failing that, Palmer to Wirtz and Timber to Gabriel to Virgil. I mean, that's partly why I don't want to do Virgil this week, because if I get Virgil this week and then Salah's really good, then it makes it harder for me to get him. So I'd be kind of forced to get Wirtz.
If you use all 4 free transfers next week, then you're going to have to save up, assuming that Crystal Palace Man City doesn't get moved into, doesn't stay in 31. You're going to have a lot of players to get rid of, Trig, for 31.
No, because the four transfers I use will be taking out 4 of the players that don't have a fixture. So I wouldn't have any transfers left, but I also wouldn't really need any.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
I could save in 29 and 30. and be fine for 31, and then Wildcard. So with Wildcard with 2 free transfers, I think I worked it out. So yeah, it's all pretty doable as long as there's no injuries to the people that don't, that are playing in 31. That would cause problems. I'm wondering whether to take Sanchez out because I'm sick of him. But I think with goalkeepers, you're better off just limping along until the wild card, really.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing, Trig, because
I can always play
Sanchez. Yeah, I've got Sanchez and Bart Simpson, and I don't like either of them. But I'm in the position at the moment where, like, we'll look at my team shortly, but the team in general looks pretty good across the board. And I do actually have a couple of transfers for once, which has been a rare miracle this season when I've actually had more than one to use in a single game week. But I feel like with the way the team is, I am very tempted by not maybe this week, but next week in particular, turfing out Bart Simpson for Kelleher. Like, that is a move that I actually think I might do, because then I don't have to worry about Sanchez, because I don't think Chelsea's defense post this week, they are just an abort for me. I think I want to get rid of them as quickly as possible, just based on the fact that what I've seen against the easy teams has been poor. I struggle to see them getting any better against the good teams.
Darius, so let's move on to your team, mate, and I'll read it out because I want to powder my nose. So Darius has got, and also I've heard Darius's moves from on Saturday, so I'll let you analyse him, Trig. So he's got Sanchez at home to Burnley, which is very nice. Gabriel away to Spurs, Nunes at home to Newcastle, Caliber at home to Burnley, Rice at home, away to Spurs, Verts away to Forest, Fernandez away to Everton, as is in Burmo, and then Bowen, you're finally playing, which means he's not going to score, at home to Bournemouth, Haaland at home to Newcastle, currently captain, Pedro currently vice-captain at home to Burnley, Ukulele, Wilson and Timber on the bench along with Broggan. Talk us through it while I go and powder my nose, Darren.
So as you can see, like, I don't probably need to realistically make a transfer this week just because of the fact that Chelsea do play Burnley. But like, I need to move Timber out. Timber would 100% be going before wildcard. So my plan is at the moment is to keep Gabriel, keep Mateus Nunes, and keep Haaland during. Well, that's debatable. So, because I want to buy Semenyo. I want to buy Semenyo for Rice. And I would like to do it this week. Now, there's a couple of different ways of doing it. And there's either, if I fancy Rice this week, this would open up the bench boost for this week. I could turf out Timber for Hill and and just hope for DC's there, or that he somehow returns and so does Bowen, which could happen. But realistically, probably one at best is probably going to return out of them. Then I could actually ditch Wilson for Semenyo, and then I'd have Mukiele at home to Fulham, and obviously takes out the Wilson thing. And obviously I still don't have any Brentford, so I'd be quite comfortable then playing Bart Simpson on the bench boost. So I can play a bench boost of Bart Simpson, Mukiele, Semenyo, and Hill, which doesn't seem too bad in a single game week. I think they're pretty good players on pretty good fixtures. Or I just leave it as it is for a week. I really want Semenyo. So like for me, it's either I turf Rice, bring in Semenyo, and then I need to fund it with another transfer, which in this case, I could just get rid of Timber, and it could be Canade coming in for Liverpool or Kirkes. And then I've got my Liverpool defender. I've got rid of Timber, so I don't have to worry about him in blank game week 31. And then I can make up my mind in 31 whether it's Haaland, Semenyo, Mateus Nunes that leave the team.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the team I'm pretty happy with. And I've got no intention of selling Bowen. I think it's more João Pedro I'm going to sell, because I think that the fixtures run out after this week, and that's the one I probably want to get rid of.
I'd probably save this week, I think, because you're going to have more transfers next week, for one thing. And Semenyo's not an urgent buy against Newcastle, is he really? Especially when you're already captain in Haaland and you've got Mateus Nunes. So you're well covered for Man City.
Yeah.
So, you've got to be careful with that North London derby, because
I just know that the Semenyo pick is so low owned in the top mill trig. Like his mass ownership is actually behind me, not in front of me. And I'm keen to sit there and go there because I think that Man City's fixtures is set up until 31. I think are really good. And Semenyo, since he's moved to Man City, has gone from 6 points per game average with Bournemouth up to 6.6. So like, I feel like he's capable of getting a couple of massive hauls over the next 4 weeks. And I feel like that could really propel me up. And I don't mind turfing out Wilson because like I have got a little bit of team value in him, but I've also got the team value in Rice. And I intend on ditching them both over this period of time in order to try and gain those points before that blank. And I just feel
Wilson's got 2 very nice fixtures though. Coming
he
up.
does.
That's what I said to him.
I don't know. You know, when a player's gone off, it's a bit like Phil Foden, right? When he'd sort of gone off, I feel like Wilson might be having his Phil Foden moment where he's had all those really good games. And now he's run into a bit of a brick wall.
Do something like Timber to Hill or someone cheaper and Rice to Semenyo. Do it this week if you really want to do it.
Because I can bring in Liverpool defender.
You've only got 4 weeks to take advantage of Semenyo. So the longer you wait, the less sense it makes.
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
let's go on.
I think if you're going to do it, you've got to do it now in that sense. Because otherwise you're just replacing them with someone else who hasn't got a fixture. So
exactly. So it's got to be earlier than later, I think.
Okay, so we go into my team. So I've got 2 free transfers and a massive 3.5 million in the bank. I can't remember the last time I had this much in the bank. I've got Kelleher at home to Brighton, Gabriel and Timber away to Spurs, Lacroix at home to Wolves, Anderson, as in Joaquin Anderson, away to Sunderland, Fernandez away to Everton, Szoboszlai away to Nottingham Forest, Enzo at home to Burnley, Rice away to Spurs, Thiago at home to Brighton, and Haaland at home to Newcastle, currently captain with Anderson, Hall, and Guay on the bench. To be honest with you guys, I feel like I've not looked at this team for a week because I really haven't. I've just been enjoying being able to chill out and not think about FPL. So I've got a few thoughts.
Are you thinking you're playing the wrong Anderson? Just out of curiosity, because I know that Trig's got it the other way around.
Maybe.
I actually think Trig's got it the right way
very
around.
Tight. It's very tight. It's very tight. But I have got... So I really regret not bringing my Palmer in. You know, I wanted to do it 2 game weeks ago, but I think because Rice got the double game week, I didn't. I could have done it last week for a hit, and I would have been 6 points up on that. I didn't do it. And this week, I can literally get Rice to Palmer. I think there's like 0.4 in it. I can afford 11 million if I sell Rice, and Palmer's currently 10.6. So there's no way I'm going to be priced out of it. That's possible. If I didn't do that and I was boring and I went the sort of review, boring pick, I would do something like Anderson, as in Elliot Anderson to one of the Bournemouth midfielders. Brentford midfielders, Schade. Or I could have possibly even roll. I don't know, lads. What do you reckon?
Yeah,
Trick?
I mean, that's what review telling you to do, isn't it? Is to get Brentford man in. You've actually got 6 players that aren't starting in game week 31 because you've got GUI. Same
GUI,
as me.
yeah.
So when Darius said I had 5, I've actually got 6 because you've got to count GUI as one of those as well.
But I reckon, Trig.
Yeah, that's why he was no good, Trig. That's why I said GUI no good.
I would get rid of Rice. Well, my plan is to get rid of Rice, Lacroix, and GUI potentially, and bench Haaland, Gabriel, Timber because I'll probably need them. Which means I can take a few punts between now and then.
Yeah, and taking out Rice for Palmer does get rid of one of them, doesn't it? It's not as if if Palmer doesn't have a fixture that week. So you could well do Rice to Palmer with one of your 3. So you're still going to have 2 left next week. So then next week you'd want to take out Rice probably, wouldn't you? And maybe Timber. So you could do Rice. Oh no, Rice would already be gone, wouldn't he? So
a lot of people talking about taking out Enzo.
Oh yeah, you could take out Enzo and Timber the
Yeah.
following week. Or Lacroix and Enzo.
You know, Trig, I'm a very boring manager. I usually go with what the models suggest. I'm not saying I always do exactly what they.
We know you're not.
Well, usually, but the last time I was in a real bad spot, which was when I was down to 300k in the world, I ignored all the models. I took a hit. I got Gabriel in and a couple other players, and that was basically what saw me go back up to nearly 100,000. And now I'm in another rut. I'm like, maybe I just need to ignore them all and just go with the upside move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which would be Big Palmer in.
You in a rut, and then you have to fight your way back out of it playing properly, and then you
essentially
go back to review again. It's like reviews never recommended João Pedro to anybody. He's like a great pick and has been a great pick for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But,
yes.
And it's obvious. It's like, so
I think it's getting to the stage where if I don't do it, I'm going to regret it more than ignoring all the algorithms and stuff. If I don't get Palmer in, even if I don't captain him, my captain Haaland, if he gets, and it's been bad enough the last 2 or 3 game weeks watching him get 2-3 goals when he wasn't even really a serious consideration. If I don't do it this week, I'm going to be ripping my hair out.
Well, if you've got Enzo and Palmer, you're going to really be able to enjoy that game, aren't you? So, yeah.
Say that, I'll probably curse Palmer.
It's a good option. Then the next week take out Enzo for a Brentford mid and Timber for Hill or somebody like that, or Lacroix to Hill. And then I think you're going to be fine for 31, aren't you?
Yep. I think so. Yeah. I mean, there's enough transfers certainly to deal with it. I just don't want to lose too much more rank between now and 31. I've gone down from, I can't remember what a rank is now. It'll probably be about 190k after tonight. I just don't want to lose any more rank.
You're just worried about falling further behind me. That's why you want Palmer.
Well, I think you're getting out. I just don't want that young Kanji fella coming on, taking over second. I don't mind finishing behind the legend Trig, but if Kanji overtakes me, or God forbid, Darius, I'll never hear the end of it.
I'm warming up, Gary. I'm warming up, baby.
Come in.
Okay. All right. Let's wrap up. So, please do join us for the lock-in on Saturday. We will be reacting to Saturday's games. Please join us next week for the Pubcast, same time, where we will be joined by FPL Nightmare, and we can interrogate what strategy went for and how it went. And I'll just give a quick shout out here to Double Pivot, who is saying, I'm guessing this is Shane, he's on at 9:30 with Kieran, I'm assuming, if anyone is around. So please do check out the Double Pivot, who are good friends of the channel. Lads, and please do to help get the stream out there and subscribe if you're new around here. Lads, where can we find you and how are you feeling about tonight, which with the games, for anyone watching back, we're 20 minutes before the Arsenal match. Darius?
Just FPL D-Unit. I think, that's right. D_unit, what I'm on about. Now, FYI, really quickly. So Gary, and I know a lot of people were asking about this earlier on in the stream. Gary has joined the Footy and World, folks, and he's going to be competing in Division 8 League 7 with one of my 3 teams that I've got in there. Gary doesn't know which team is mine yet, but my team is in there. And folks, it's not Gare Hinch. I'll give you the hot tip because I'm trying to palm that one off to Mark. And then it's literally going to be an entire league filled with people that know each other in there. It should be epic. And I can't wait. Gary might be beating me in FPL, folks, but I can give you the hot tip. When we get to the lock-in this weekend, there's going to be one team above the other, and it's going to be the D-Unit firmly above the Gary View in the Footyum League. So yeah.
Maybe we're playing each other in the first go. By the way, the reason I haven't put the description in the link yet is I've not completely and utterly sorted out my team yet to get a link. But I'm really excited. I've spent the last couple of nights like who's left back, who's right back, and you know what I mean. It's a bit like I've missed doing it because I was always been a big fan of Football Manager, and I was so disappointed when it came out this year and it got such bad reviews. So I'm really enjoying just having a play around with who's got the most stamina, who's the best left back.
I'll go teach you a few things about that as well. But yeah, you can find me there. I'm doing live watch-alongs for that all season as well because South Park are on the way, Gary. We're on the way to Division 1 and we've gone back-to-back promotions. So touch will be going another one.
Awesome. Trig, how are you feeling about tonight, mate? And where can people find you as if they don't already know?
You can find me hiding behind my couch, and you can also find me on YouTube, Trig Talks FPL, where everything is free. There are no adverts for dodgy stuff or anything else. And I'm not going to talk about some game for 20 minutes, but I'm only playing it so I can get an affiliate link. So I'll talk to you all on there, peeps, and cheers for now, because the Trig will be back later with a review of the game week, and he will not be talking about Footyum.
Trig, it shouldn't be you hiding.
I even paid him 50 quid to say that.
Trig, it shouldn't be you hiding behind the sofa, by the way. It should be Darius. He's not got triple captain Gabriel.
Did he triple captain Rice?
No, he's only going but he should be watching in fear every time a corner comes in that Gabriel's going to jump up. And it shouldn't be us behind the sofa. It should be Darius.
Unless Gabriel gets booked. You're right, Gary. We should actually be enjoying this game, shouldn't we?
Our rank can't go down, I don't think.
I reckon there's a strong chance
only if Wolves
scoring a free kick. I reckon Rice could score a free kick tonight against Wolves.
Oh, God, you're going to be unbearable if that happens. Oh, by the way, I should end the captaincy poll, shouldn't I?
Headphones aren't working. Come on, headphones. Right. I'm back.
So I've got captaincy poll. Who is the best captain? So I've not said who you're going to captain. I've phrased it. Who is the best captain for Game Week 27? Palmer 38%, Haaland 32%, someone else, which is probably
can't hear
Bruno,
anything.
17%, Pedro 13%. What do you reckon to that, Darius?
I'm actually surprised João Pedro's below Palmer by that much. 25% of people think Palmer's a better captain. I put Haaland. I voted for Haaland myself. I think that João Pedro. If I had to pick between João Pedro and Palmer, I'd pick João Pedro. That's just me.
What was the result of
38% Palmer, 32% Haaland, someone else 17%, Pedro 13%, mate.
Yeah, I mean, if Palmer's top of the polls, I'd be captaining Palmer. But again, though, it's not really proper polls, is it? Because most of them don't actually own.
Yeah, I phrase it, who's the best captain, not who are you captaining.
Yeah.
So,
because that's more important, really, isn't it? Who people are actually captaining when it comes to getting smashed in the ranks. If you do buy Palmer this week, I don't think you will, but if you do, will you captain him or would you captain Haaland?
See, there's a few people, Trig, like in my league in the WhatsApp group that bought him Palmer 2 weeks ago and they captained him straight out the gate for that 20 points. And I was like, and I feel like he's one of them players where, yes, he's been crap or whatever, but if you're buying him, you're literally buying him because you believe he's going to score points. And if you believe he's going to score points, then you shouldn't be worried about whether you can captain him or not. You just press the button.
I can see that for people that buy him this week. If you're just buying him for this week, you're obviously only going to buy him to captain him, aren't you? Which is why I was asking Gary. But I've had him for all these weeks. So, I'm still scarred by when they played Ipswich last season and he blanked. And I think he blanked in a couple of games.
Penalty, wasn't it?
Him. Yeah, probably. And,
I remember that. That was the first time I ever met Steve-O. That was the first time I ever met Steve-O in person, and we went out for a walk and we were having a lovely day. And we were at McDonald's and he went to the toilet and he captained Palmer and he looked up on his phone and he came out and he was like, think that might have been one of the key moments in him deciding to quit FPL.
Exactly. I'd be having one of those if I do it this weekend. And he blanks and Haaland gets a brace and Enzo gets a brace when season over. So I'm not sure I want to go there.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Good luck tonight. Whoever you've got playing. Please join us next week at 6 for the podcast. Well, me and Darius and Trig will be joined with Andrew. And please also join us on the lock-in on Saturday. See you later, everyone. Good luck.
Cheers, people.
See you later. Good luck, Rice Captainers.